Hello and welcome to the Metal Pack Pod, the industry's leading podcast for the global metal packaging industry. The Metal Pack Pod is brought to you by The Metal Packager, the number one digital resource for the global metal packaging market. With over 6,000 monthly users in over 130 countries globally, be sure to check us out on metalpackager.com. I'm your host Alex Fordham, and joining me today is popular industry figure Jack Knight. Jack is certainly a larger-than-life character and popular with the industry for his zest for life, and particularly the inks market. During the episode, we track Jack's heritage within the industry and his take on some of the pertinent industry topics surrounding us at present. But before we begin the episode, we must give special mention to our sponsors, PPG. We're proud to partner with you and thank you for supporting the Metal Pack Pod over these coming months. Their range of innovative and sustainable solutions enables its customers to protect and beautify the world. Now on to today's show. Morning, Jack. How are you?
Morning, Alex. Very well, thank you. It was a great show we had here at Latin Can.
No, it's been fantastic, and it's great to see old and new friends getting together once again. So it's a great opportunity to connect. And I've been really looking forward to our conversation. Trying to tie you down has been problematic, but
but here we are.
Absolutely, which is fantastic, and obviously you're well known in the industry, and one of your favourite taglines is "It's good to be Jack." Is it
good to be Jack?
Is it good to be Jack at the moment?
Yeah, it's great to be Jack.
Excellent stuff. So, as customary on the Metal Pack Pod podcast, we've got a set of quick fire questions which you saw earlier. So, not too long, just a sentence or two, just so we get a flavour of you as a person.
Well, the good thing is that since at my age now, I forget everything that I read anyway, so they're going to all be brand new to me.
First question is, what's your favourite metal packaging product ever?
Well, that's a tough one because for me, it's really all of them. I mean, we've done such a great job through the years and in my career working with different companies to see everything evolve to what we are today. But with inks being the leader in the market, I mean, that's the most exciting thing for me because, we know everyone.
Absolutely. And so your favourite personality from the industry you've worked with or met?
Well, that's a really hard one because I've had so many mentors in my life anyways. I think it would start out with a gentleman by the name of Tom Gaffney, otherwise known as the goofy white-haired bastard throughout the entire industry. Of course, he's long since retired. And then after him would be, of course, Kenny Matiska, one of my lifelong friends who I still communicate with today, who's also retired. And then, of course, the last one that everyone knows and loves would be Jonathan Ellaby. He was like a big brother and mentor to me in the industry, and I really appreciate that and stay in contact with him as well. It's amazing, like I've gone through all these, relationships in my life, and now I'm the old guy. So you're kind of looking around, it's like, where'd they go? What happened? But it's they helped make me who I am today.
Absolutely. And your proudest achievement personally in the industry?
I think it's just everyone knows my integrity. They know if they ask me to do something, I do it. If they ask me a question, I'm going to tell them exactly how I feel. There's no BS with me. It is what it is.
This is a question we'll probably get onto a little bit later on, but talking about the metal decorating industry, past, the present. But what would you say is in one phrase, the biggest challenge for the metal decorating industry moving forward?
Right now, today, it's two things. It's supply chain, and then it's who's coming up next, who we're going to be, who are the next kids, who's the next Jack Knight, the next Ken Matiska, so on and so forth, the next Jonathan Ellaby. But I think those people are going to rise to the top. We'll find out who they are because this industry is so strong. And it seems like when you're part of this industry, you're more of a family than you are, just going to a job and meeting some people. You really create these relationships that you have lifelong.
Yeah, those two things seem to run true throughout the industry actually at the moment, the issue of supply chain and also employing good people for the succession planning. So yeah, I look forward to chatting about those two topics in more detail shortly. So, and last but not least, an amusing story we can share about your time in the industry. Obviously be careful, otherwise we'll have...
There are so many, but I think one of the ones that really sticks out the most is when I was on an airplane flying from the U.S. to Japan, and we're flying over the end of Alaska, coming because the way the Earth curves, that's how they fly to Japan. And I had these glasses that you wear that you can see a movie from your iPod. They were state of the art. No one's seen anything like this before. When you put the glasses on, earphones in, it looks like you're looking at a large screen format. And I'm starting to fall asleep, and all of a sudden I feel heat on my chest. So I look down in the battery pack, it starts swelling and white smoke starts coming out. Thinking, I'm starting to wake up, what's going on? So I grab a hold of it, between my fingers it gets hot, so I throw it on the ground. As soon as it hit the ground, it started like a flare, it started to catch the floor on fire. Smoke started coming in the cabin. The lady sitting next to me on the aisle was pregnant. She jumped up screaming and started running to the back of the plane. Next thing you know, all the big guys in the plane are coming forward to kill the shoe bomber. And so I go to grab my water to throw it on the fire, and an air marshal, who I didn't know was an air marshal at the time, grabbed my arm and said, "Don't throw that water, it's electrical fire, you'll bring down the plane." So I have all this chaos going around right now, and so I take a magazine, I start beating on it, the fire goes up. It was a lithium battery, it was two-stage. So it fired up once again, once it hit the other side of the battery. And the flame started shooting up, a bluish flame again about a foot high, catching the carpet on fire, creating the smoke. So then the stewardess, she comes running up, she's got a fire extinguisher, she's putting the fire out, and everyone settled down, it was my battery, relax. So the pilot came up, he had to do an interview. He said, "I'm going to keep your name off of this because you'll end up on a no-fly list." Even though it wasn't your fault, he took the whole report, everything's fine. So I forgot about it for a while. So then I get a phone call from the director from United Airlines that looked into these things, and he asked me, first of all, he says, "Your name Danny Knight?" I said, "No, it's Jack Knight." He said, "Do you know Danny?" And I said, "Yeah, he works for us in Charlotte. He's no relation though." He said, "Oh, I grew up with his son, so I know everything about inks, and I was really excited to talk to you to find out, and I'm like, okay, I start talking. He goes, "By the way, I'm calling about the incident on the airplane." So he asked me for pictures and who I bought them from and everything, so I sent him all that information. He did this huge report and sent it to me, and I thought, okay, that's it. But then the article, I was telling people the story, how people, yeah, right, whatever. So the article came up in Newsweek.
Oh, really?
And somebody in the lab in Charlotte, so I was like, oh my God, that was Jack. So that actually started, from what I hear, is keeping lithium batteries out of the belly of the plane because they were unstable. They said that there was an A and B side, and just a little grain of like salt went from one side to the other and started this thermal reaction. So that was pretty exciting, pretty exciting.
And I suppose you've got many more stories that we probably can't
Oh yes,
can't
yeah, we
publish.
can
So
just tell
that'd
stories.
that'd be off the record.
That's right. That's the great thing about this industry. There are so many stories.
No, that's excellent. Thanks very much for that story, and I'm sure our listeners will really enjoy that. But just want to move things on slightly here and talk about your heritage in the industry. Obviously, you worked for Inks for a long time. If you can just provide some of perhaps our listeners who are perhaps a little bit newer to the industry or a different side to the industry, might be just an opportunity to your heritage in the industry.
Well, the thing I tell people, I've worked for everybody in the industry, and it looks like, when you look at my resume, it looks like I can't hold a job. But Inks is the last place I'm ever going to work for. I'm going on my 20th year with Inks now. It's the second time around. I started out with Sun Chemical, I worked for Flint, I worked for PPG, I worked for Valspar. I've also worked for the in-house guys as well, like US Can and BUA and so on and so forth, which really helped me get my education in the industry, because I was going for both sides, both as a supplier and then as a user. So it's a little over 40 years so far.
40 years so far. A few more years to come yet?
Well, that's interesting because I just turned 63, and I talked to the president of our company recently because my wife was like, "How much will I be in work?" And I said, "Well, let me ask the boss." He said, "How old are you?" I said, 63. He said, "You got 7 more years." My wife was very delighted to hear that. I tell people, 2 years, 4, maybe 6 at the most, just depends on my health.
I can imagine with you as well, Jack, you've got a zest for life as well, and I can't imagine you'd be the shy and retiring type just to be on the golf course 3 times a week and kick back and relax.
Right, exactly. Like I said, this is my family, and once that part ends, I'll still have the relationships, but that part of my family will be over.
Just also, I've been in the industry a little while now, but still very much a relative novice compared to some of you guys. But just how has the metal decorating industry changed during over the course of the last 20 to 30 years?
Well, from the cultural standpoint, there's a lot less of the drinking and the late night carousing, because these guys used to stay up all night and go right into the plant the next day, and they wouldn't miss a beat. That, of course, that's all changed. The way I see it is that things are getting better all the time, especially now that with all the innovation and technology and everything, that's really changed, big time. Like during COVID, we still did business, and we did very good business because we can go on the computer, you can do Zoom, you can do routine. So it kind of changed the paradigm of how we go through our life. But shows like this that brings us all back together. Everyone was very excited to see each other. And, you miss that human touch. That's very important in this business.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the whole work hard, play hard attitude. I mean, it seems that perhaps the industry is changing a little bit. It's a little bit more, becoming a little bit more professionalism within the industry. But do you think is that a good thing or a bad thing, do you think?
I think it's a good thing. I think it's a real good thing. Yes. Because a lot of those guys that live that way, they're not living today. So it's a much better lifestyle for everyone. Especially for families. They were being more family oriented as well. When a lot of these guys, they'd get up in the morning and it was work until they went to bed at night, and they missed out on their family.
Yeah, so I think it's having that balance, isn't it, really?
Yes, it is the balance, exactly.
Absolutely. And you mentioned in our sort of pre-recording notes there about the fact of supply chain issues and obviously recruiting good people. From what I can see from an outsider looking in, I mean, what are the challenges for the company moving forward, bringing new people into the industry? Because certainly I think the pandemic shone a light on the fact of the problems of succession planning for a lot of companies, where a lot of people with industry knowledge potentially retiring, and also from a selfish point of view, sometimes people that have the knowledge, they might have the personality trait where they don't necessarily, unless someone comes to them asking for the knowledge, they don't share it. So how are you guys trying to adapt and making sure that knowledge is passed on to the future generations?
The wonderful thing about inks is, almost everybody has come up through the ranks. They started out making ink, mixing ink in the lab, going to the customer. So, it's the type of company where we've grown from the inside. We don't bring a lot of people in from the outside. And, we have young people that are starting to rise to the top. As they say, the cream rises to the top. So we're watching for those people, trying to mentor them, and then they let themselves be known as far as if they can handle these new responsibilities. Because not everybody can, leave their families. Some of us that travel on the international side travel quite a bit, and you have to have a special wife that understands this.
An understanding wife,
yes,
absolutely.
That's right, very understanding wife. Otherwise, it could be the end of your relationship.
Yeah, and do you personally get involved in any of the mentoring side of the business?
I do. Yes, of course. I look for that all the time.
So yeah, we're talking about sort of your career in can making, and I mean it's a very exciting time to be in the industry. What sort of your observations of the industry at the moment? I know we're at sort of boom time for the metal packaging industry. Certainly in the US, we've seen new greenfield facilities. A lot of excitement in the industry, potentially on the beverage can side. We're looking at 4% growth up until 2027. You've been in the industry 40 years, so you probably have more of a level-headed approach to, you see the peaks and the troughs, but where do you see currently where the industry is, and are we in a good place moving forward?
Right, well, it used to be three-piece was everything. There was no two-piece. So then when the two-piece can came around, it really started to change how we do things. And it's amazing how, like, say, for instance, back at the NMDA days, when they had the two-piece seminars and three-piece seminars, there'd be hardly anybody in the two-piece and, hundreds of people in the three-piece. And now that's changed drastically in the other direction. That can is just incredible with, how it stacks, how it transports, the graphics you can put on it. It's really changed. That's the container. I've even been to places like Modelo and Zacatecas. I was there on a tour with a bunch of college kids. And I asked a question. There was maybe 75 kids in the room. I said, what do you think is better, the bottle or the can? They all said bottle. And then I explained to them why they were wrong. Mm-hmm. But still, some of them had a hard time accepting that change. But you can see the shift in the grocery stores and worldwide that cans are really taking over everything from water to wine to... You know the story. It's just incredible. Like you said, this growth is like nothing we've ever seen before. Everybody's oversold. Even the equipment manufacturers have the lead times are going up to 2 years. The engineering firms, 2 years. So if you want to make a can plant today, you got to get in line. And you're going to be 2 years, 3 years down the road coming up.
Has the industry got the capacity to actually capitalise on this growth properly? Because that's potentially the problem. I know we've seen some of the major equipment suppliers have capacity expansion recently, but do you think that is a potential challenge for the industry to truly capitalise on this growth and this positivity with the environment, sustainability, obviously the growing consumption at home post-COVID as well? Is that definitely a challenge for the industry, would you say?
Yes, but I think that a lot of people that are in upper management, they kind of saw this coming, so they've been planning for it. It's not like it caught everyone by surprise. Because you just look at the different companies that were at one time in the U.S. and now they're in China, now they're in Brazil, now they're in Thailand. I mean, they keep opening up offices and growing and growing and growing because this is a global phenomenon. It's not just here in the States or in Brazil. I mean, all of our customers around the world That's why we have 70% of the business, because we're right there. We see what's going on, and it's really exciting. I mean, the can is king, period.
Do you see, I mean, this is a question I've asked a few people, but at the moment where an industry is potentially at its strongest, you also it's at its weakness, because you can sometimes take for granted how well you're doing, and then you don't plan for the future. I mean, how are Inks trying to ensure that obviously good times are great, but obviously maintaining that sort of view for the future?
Yeah, I think it's more a relationship with our customers, because we talk to them all the time, and they let us know what's going on and what they see the future. So it helps us plan for it as well. Especially when you have contracts with everyone, you get a better idea of what they're looking at in the future. So, I mean, that's very important. It's those relationships at the end of the day.
And what excites you in the metal decorating industry moving forward? You talked about digital print and the whole personalisation side of the market. Is that a real? I know you guys are very, very highly involved in obviously the high speed two-piece beverage side of things, which has been fantastic innovation. But is there potentially some of the more exciting developments within the industry on the more personalisation side of the market?
Sure there is, and that's the exciting part, because we do what we do all the time, and it becomes kind of mundane. Anything new comes up, it piques everyone's interest. It's very exciting. That technology is never going to replace because of the speeds, but it has its niche, it has its place. There are people that are looking at it, they're getting more and more serious. From our standpoint, the digital, we have a lot of machines around the world that actually do more prototyping, something to show the customer so they can make the changes right there in a studio or shop before they see exactly what they want, then generate the plates and the artwork. Because at one time, all these cans were generated on the line. How can you slow down a line to make samples? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Experience the iSense family of specialty coatings. PPG iSense Specialty Over Varnishes help beverage brands stand out on the shelf with unique effects. A tactile finish with a dynamic effect you can see and touch. A velvety, deep matte finish. A satiny smooth, medium gloss over varnish. A white base coat that makes colors pop. A bottle can and cup over varnish that enables special shapes. And a luxurious finish that shimmers and shines. Proven performance, possibilities. Learn more at www.packagingcoatings.com/iSense.
Roll back slightly. You mentioned earlier about supply chain issues. I mean, how are Inks trying to navigate that aspect? I mean, it's a challenge for us all throughout life, isn't it, really? And obviously increasing costs, raw materials, etc. How are you guys trying to...
Well, luckily we have a really good team in a lab that they're always looking for another supply chain that we can plug in that's exactly the same as what we're using, because we're known for our quality and consistency. And that's what's paramount to us, to make sure the product is the same. If we're selling it in Thailand, if we're selling it in Europe, if we're selling it in the States, that shouldn't matter at all. It needs to be the same. It's like, McDonald's. The Big Mac's the Big Mac, the fries are the fries. That's the way you have to have it.
Yeah.
And that's really what these guys have stepped up a lot. I mean, they spend a lot of time in the lab looking at other samples and talking to other supply chains. And we can't sit back and have China tell us they can't give us product. That just doesn't work.
Has there been an increased cost involved, and have you passed that on to your customers?
Oh my gosh, yes, big increase. And our customers understand it, and they have been sharing that cost with us, just because we may get a letter that our shipment's being held until we pay them today, and by the way, it's 40% more than our agreed to price. And if you don't want it, there's a guy down the street that'll take it. So in order to keep our customers going, we've had some huge challenges, but for the most part, we've been able to keep things pretty steady and not have too many problems when it comes to price increasing. But at the end of the day, we all need to make money to stay in business. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here for our customers.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the supply chain and lead times is perhaps an issue. What about for your customers? Is there been an increased delay as a result?
Yes. We've had to implement a separate line item to help take care of that, so we don't do any price increasing, because we see that as a temporary measure. Temporary for how long, we don't know. And our customers really seem to appreciate that they're not getting a new price increase every 3 or 4 months, or every 6 weeks or whatever, because that's what's happening to us. We have no idea what our real price is until we get the letter saying, no, you thought that was your price, this is actually your price. And we just can't work that way, because like I said, we're a family, we have relationships with people, and we understand everyone has a budget that they need to stick to. So far everyone has been very understanding because they're going through the same thing like on the aluminum side.
Yeah.
They're paying so much more for aluminum, for shipping containers. I mean, they've tripled and quadrupled in some cases just to put product in a container to send it across the ocean. And somebody's got to pay for that at the end of the day.
Absolutely, it's crazy times. I mean, I was at the Craft Brewers Conference last week in Minneapolis, and you're hearing of craft brewers importing cans from the Middle East. It's just it seems
just to get a can.
Absolute crazy situation, doesn't it?
It is,
yes. But it's the success of the industry. It's just, there's always going to be problems along the way, isn't it? That's the thing. So, moving things back slightly, I mean, you seem to still have the enthusiasm for the industry, the love for the industry. I mean, do you still enjoy the industry as much as you used to, or sometimes you hear with guys of a particular vintage, not to put aspersions on your age, Jack, of course, but do you prefer the industry 30 years ago, the way business was conducted, or are you one to never look back and you're always looking forward?
I'm always looking forward, always. Yeah, what happened in the past is in the past, and we learn from that. That's how we're able to move forward successfully.
Yeah, and trying to embrace that change.
Exactly. Oh, I always embrace change. I'm a change agent. I'm an influencer. I come in and I cause chaos, and then I step back, and then things they work out.
Absolutely. And is there any sort of commonly misunderstood issues within the metal decorating industry that perhaps your customers, perhaps it's an opportunity for you guys?
I think that my favorite one is a line from my mentor, Jonathan Ellaby, is it's not the ink. The ink tells you there's a problem in your process. When you see something on the can, then that is like your blueprint to start looking for where's that at. Because ink is pretty simple. It's like a cake recipe. You make it the same every time. It's the same cake. But if you burn it or put a different frosting on it, whatever the analogies you want to use, then that's the beautiful thing about ink is it says, hey, there's a problem. And our customers, they realize that. And when they see these things, they say, hey, we've got an issue. Can you help us find it? And we've become very, very good at helping the customer find what in their process is having a negative effect to our ink.
And within the inks business, is there any trends that you can foresee in the next few years that are going to become more and more apparent, or challenges along the way?
I think the sustainability side, it keeps growing and growing, which is a good thing. Be greener and greener and greener. And we're always looking at that in the lab. That's another project that never ends. We're always looking to move forward because we want to be a better steward to the earth. And green is definitely the best way to look long term for our children and our children's children. We've realized that through. When I started in the business, there were leaded pigments. I mean, there's stuff that you would never get near today, but we had it all over our hands, up to our elbows, and it was just part of life back in that day. So it's been wonderful that that we've been able to look in that direction. Now, it's created a lot of cost and expense because those things are great because they were cheap. But now they say, oh, you can't use them, they'll cause cancer, so you have to look to things that are more sustainable.
Yeah, and that's true. The whole bisphenol A issue seems to be less. Speaking to PPG yesterday, they're still very mindful of the whole legislation, that side of the industry. But it seems that, for the metal packaging industry, those issues of 10, 15 years ago, which were a huge issue for the industry, seems to be the industry must have done something right to navigate away from those issues.
Yeah, we stopped listening to the lawyers and they got tired. They weren't making enough in their lawsuits, so they're looking for their next, nicotine battle. That's all it comes down as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely, and just sort of rounding things off on your side of things, is there anything you're particularly looking forward to, or trends we will observe moving forward, would you say, for the industry?
I think the industry, as far as printing a can, we need to look at how to do it faster. And with today's technology, that really hasn't changed in 40 years, other than adding speed and doing different things. We need to really start looking at how we can take the next step. How do we move forward? And we really need to look to the equipment manufacturers for what's next, because we can't just keep building plants and adding lines. We need to do something a little different.
Is there too much conservatism then, you would say, with the production process? Because I know when you're talking about high volume, high speed, to make that change is a big risk. But do you think that the industry needs to have, perhaps, if we're looking to really cement the future of the industry, we need to look at how we can...
Yeah, because you look at all the other printing mediums, we always seem to be last.
Yeah.
When it comes to paper or plastics or whatever, their speeds have gone through the roof because they've made changes in their process. But everything's the same and we feel comfortable with it and it's going good so far. But I think maybe in the future, we really need to be more serious in research and development to see what's the next mousetrap, whatever, that will help us in this process.
No, that's fantastic. And just any final sign-off notes? It's been a great week to connect with old friends, and has there been any sort of abiding memories of this week?
Just all the human connections again, and talking about, because then when you're out of a plant, you get to see people in this type of atmosphere. It's totally different. They're different people. They feel more comfortable. They want to tell you more about what's really going on. They're not as reserved because they don't have people coming in. Can you sign this? The phone ringing. I need this. I need that. It's these type of relationships that are formed here, they're lifelong.
Yeah. Would you say it's really cemented this week about? There was a lot of talk, wasn't there, in the last 2 years about whether it's the death of the trade show and people ambivalent to travelling, the way of the world has changed forever. But humans are humans, and we thrive on interaction. And
we do. The travel and expenses that came with that. I mean, no one has seen that, so that's a number of people are looking at now, which makes sense because you have to do that for your company, for its strength and its longevity. But like Raul said, this is their record here. It was 576 people. This is the biggest Latin can ever. So if that tells you anything, people are hungry to get back out there, to get that personal touch, to find out what's going on in the industry and see. Because a lot of times people don't understand if I'm in a can plant and I need a part, I can call my competition down the street because I know my relationship with him. And he'll give me that part just to keep me going because we know this is a big family. Yeah. Now, the guys way at the top, I'm sure they wouldn't be happy with that, but then they never know about it. All they know is the numbers keep going up, everybody's sprinting, everything is good.
If your competitors are doing well, you're doing well often, that's the
thing.
Course, so it's nothing wrong with a little bit of health.
Competition is the healthiest thing.
Healthy competition is always a good thing.
It keeps us all on our toes.
And it just shows your respect for yourself that you maintain and build those relationships, and long may that continue. So
you'll see in this industry, nobody talks bad about anybody else, no matter what business you're in. I mean, we're always there trying to help each other. There are no secrets, as they say in this industry. There are no secrets.
Yeah, if you are of that persuasion, you don't last long in the industry, do you? So
you're absolutely right.
Integrity, as you said right at the start, is first and foremost.
Yeah, because people remember. I mean, they never forget in this industry.
No.
They don't forget.
Yeah, and just signing off, you talked. You had one or two amusing stories earlier, but is there anything you can end with?
No, most of them I can't. Sorry.
I think we'll leave it there. So, no, Jack, it's been a pleasure, and thanks for your efforts within the industry. Certainly a very popular figure, and long may that continue. So, I appreciate your time.
Thank you for your time. Yes, I've enjoyed our friendship.